What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast with Justin and Brandon. It has been a long time since we've recorded a predictions episode, but we are so back to predict the Canadian Grand Prix. Last week at the Spanish Grand Prix, Brandon was gone, so he missed his amazing week of predictions where he is now leading 25-21. So I need a huge week to catch up to him. Brandon, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I was still able to follow along with the race and watch my lovely predictions come true. So that was a great weekend, and I'm excited to talk about Canada.
Yeah, you saw Max Verstappen have that moment, Charles Leclerc go up the inside, and your prediction lead just increase, which is unfortunate for Max and for me. We're in the same boat on that one, but that's okay because I'm catching up this weekend. Let's kick it off with our podium pusher for Canada. So, who do you think is going to be the podium pusher of the weekend at the Canadian Grand Prix?
I'm going with Isaac Hadjar. Isaac has been doing very well recently. Expect him to kind of continue that form, and he's Rookie of the Year candidate for sure. So I can't wait to see what he does.
As of right now, he's Rookie of the Year winner for me. So he is always a great choice for podium pusher of the weekend. I'm going with Alex Albon as my podium pusher of the weekend. Williams are coming off probably their worst weekend of the year so far in Spain. So I think Canada, it's always been a good track for them. It's been a good track for Alex, especially when you look back over the past couple of seasons. I think it's a track that suits their car well. So I think they're going to have a nice rebound week, especially for Alex Albon. I'm putting him as my podium pusher.
I think that's a great pick. Alex has always been great around Canada, and yeah, Williams always tends to do well on tracks with a lot of long straights. So
Yeah, we're gonna see an Alex Albon DRS train from P5 on back because no one can get by him on the straights, and I wouldn't complain about it because that would be a guaranteed point for me. Who do you think is going to be the back marker of the Canadian Grand Prix?
backmarker, I'm going with Yuki Tsunoda. Red Bull. It doesn't feel like Red Bull's about to have a great weekend, to be honest with you. And Yuki has not been doing very well. People are already talking about which team he's going to drive for next, which is never a great sign if you're a Formula One driver. So I think Yuki's going to have a poor weekend.
Yeah, Red Bull hasn't had a good weekend all year. Max has had some good weekend, but Red Bull as a whole have not had any good weekends. I'm gonna keep the Red Bull second driver bullying going because I've put Liam Lawson as my back marker of the weekend. He just still hasn't had the greatest start to the season. Obviously, he got demoted, but he hasn't really rebounded. He's been a step behind Isaac Hadjar, which even though, yes, they're both kind of rookies, you would still expect Liam Lawson to have a step over Isaac, and he just hasn't. And then we're going to another track that does punish mistakes that he hasn't driven on in any other junior formulas. So I'm not sensing a great weekend for Liam Lawson. I'm putting him as my back marker.
Yeah, Liam really doesn't seem to have the, I don't know, tenacity or like that just I don't know, go get it attitude, really as of late. So I think that's kind of interesting, but we'll see how he does in Canada.
Yeah, well, I feel like you get demoted from your new job 2 weekends in, it probably does hamper the spirit just a little bit. So I don't know if I can blame him for that. I don't know how I would feel if I was in his situation. So can't really blame him for that. Who do you think is taking pole this weekend in Canada?
I'm going with Oscar Piastri. I'm sure this is a big surprise to everybody watching this, but I feel like I've predicted Oscar for every single poll this year so far. But he's just hard to pick against right now. I think Oscar's been driving really well. I think Canada will suit the McLaren very well. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think Oscar's got it.
It feels like every track suits the McLarens well. And yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, I don't remember the last time Brandon hasn't predicted Oscar Piastri to be on pole. So that's just the way it goes. I'm going to put his teammate Lando Norris on pole position for this weekend. I think Lando Norris should have won the Canadian Grand Prix last year. The fact that he didn't kind of felt like he threw that sucker away, and McLaren kind of did as well. So I think he's going to get some redemption this year. He's going to take pole position, get one up on his teammate, and I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I think Linda's just as dangerous for pole and win this weekend as Oscar is because like you said, McLaren kind of did throw that one away a little bit last year. That was right around when they had a big upward trend in pace and didn't really know what to do with it. So Yeah, hopefully this year will be a little bit different.
The story of 2024, McLaren not knowing what to do with their pace. That sums up the season for them right there, that's for sure. Let's move on to our podium predictions. Who do you think is going to finish in third place at the Canadian Grand Prix?
This one was the toughest
It
prediction
always
for
is.
me all
P3, I
podcast.
never know what to do with it.
But I'm going with Max Verstappen. I know I just said that it doesn't feel like Red Bull's about to have a good weekend, but that doesn't mean Max can't. And, I think he's still in it for in terms of like fighting for podiums and stuff like that. Um, so I think Max is a good pick. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing on everyone's mind right now is that incident with George Max had last time out in Spain and that he's one penalty point away from a ban. You got to remember, if that safety car never comes out, Max Verstappen was standing on the podium last week and in a car that looked super hard to drive, and Yuki Tsunoda put in P20 in qualifying. And we're like, man, there's another great Max Verstappen drive in that hard to handle Red Bull. So obviously, he's still got to be in contentions for podiums. I fully agree with that. I've gone with George Russell in P3. Not to bring up the old Max Verstappen versus George Russell thing, but we're having our own Max v George feud here. I think that Canada is going to be a great weekend for Mercedes. One, their car works well when it's colder. And what do we know about Canada? It's freaking cold outside. So I think that is going to help them. And then obviously, remembering last year where I think George Russell also had a shot at winning the Canadian Grand Prix, where really no one expected Mercedes to be at the front of the field going into that weekend. So I would not be surprised if we saw another George Russell P3 here in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I was just in Quebec about a week ago, and I can tell you it is a lot colder there than it is here in Texas, at least. So yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw George have a great weekend.
Colder than Texas is not a high bar. Almost anywhere in the world
Sure,
is colder than Texas right now. It is
sure.
hot here, and that's just the way that it goes. Who do you think is taking second place at the Canadian Grand Prix?
This is also a tough one. I'm going with Lando Norris. I think Lando's going to finish P2, and but it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, can't say anything else because even though we know who you've put in P1, you don't want to say too much to not give that thing away. I have also gone with Lando Norris in P2. Even though I put him on pole position, I do not believe that he is the McLaren driver with the momentum behind him right now. And there's still a part of my mind that's like, even when Lando's on pole, I don't know if I can trust him to bring home a win in that sucker. So I put Lando Norris in P2 this weekend. We agree on that one.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're gonna agree on the next one as well. For P1, I've gone with Oscar Piastri, obviously. He's the guy right now. He's the driver to beat. Oscar's been doing really well. Um, so Oscar P1. That's all there really is to say.
Yeah, do we agree? Because I've put Lewis, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
And
It feels horrible that Lewis Hamilton is the driver that we just made fun of to not get a race victory, but that is where we're at with the Lewis Hamilton Ferrari pairing right now. Unfortunately, I have gone for Oscar Piastri as well. It's who it has to be right now. It feels like we are in the Oscar Piastri era of Formula One, even though yes, I think Oscar and Lando are fairly close in talent, and on their day, each one of them can be quicker than the other. It just feels like Oscar has that edge right now. It feels like he has the momentum. It feels like he's got the consistency. We know how calm, cool, and collected he is. He doesn't show any emotion, whether it's good or bad. And so, even though those two drivers are close, it's hard for me to find a reason to predict against Oscar Piastri.
and with every Oscar Piastri podium or victory, I think maybe just maybe we'll see an Oscar shoey, but we haven't seen one yet. So I'm still
Eh,
hoping.
I'm telling you, if he wins the world championship, I think maybe we see it, but I don't even know if he has that much emotion in him. So who knows if we'd see a Shoei sometime this year.
Fair enough. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's definitely possible for him to win the world championship. So maybe
Yeah,
just maybe
we'll
Zach
see on that
Brown will
one.
get another tattoo.
Yeah, if we hit 1,000 subscribers, you can see us do a shoey. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe down below if you want to see Brandon and I do a shoey. Maybe we do one for 1,000 subscribers. Who knows?
I do it.
I do want to for 1,000 subscribers. What is your one push and prediction for the Canadian Grand Prix?
My one push and prediction is that we're going to see a red flag in a competitive session this weekend. That being qualifying or the race. It's not a sprint weekend, so we don't get a bunch of extra competitive sessions. But yeah, that's what I'm going with. Purely off of vibes. Maybe something into the Wall of Champions, big crash. So
Yeah, I mean, you can never count out a little tap of the wall of champions in qualifying. We've seen that before. We've seen that happen multiple times in the past decade that we've seen a red flag flown in qualifying for that. So, certainly a possibility. There's a chance you've just guaranteed a red flag in the middle of FP2 and you won't get this point. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. My one push and prediction is that at least one of the Ferraris does not reach Q3. This one hurts to say, but this just feels like the time of year where Ferrari absolutely forgets how to do strategy and how to do a run plan with their car. Last year, both drivers got knocked out in Q2. We've seen those drivers get knocked out in Q2 and Q1 this year already. So it feels bold to me because we just saw Ferrari stand on the podium, but it certainly doesn't feel like something that's out of the realm of possibility.
yeah, similar to the way I feel about Red Bull this weekend, I kind of feel the same way about Ferrari. It doesn't feel like they're going into Canada and going to be shoe in for a podium or anything like that. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but isn't that what's great about Formula One right now is McLaren's really the only team that we know where they're going to be. So, maybe we're not having the greatest fight at the front for a championship, at least on the constructor side, but it's still quite an entertaining sport at the moment. The fans at Alexander underscore Mark Zesky says Max will get another penalty point, which would be absolutely insane. At Lou Good, Alex Albon or Carlos Sainz finishes in the top five, and at Coconut Banana Bread, Bortoleto, Colapinto, and Stroll finish in the bottom three. Don't get a lot of bottom three predictions, so I had to throw that one in there for sure.
Yeah, maybe we should start doing a bottom three prediction every now and then. That's a great idea. I love it.
Just throw one in there. Instead of the podium, we're going to see if we can get the bottom three right. That would be really tough with random DNFs thrown in there, but based on how our podium predictions go, maybe we'd have more luck with that.
Yeah, I think at the over the course of a whole season might be the same, you know, correct rate, percentage wise, the same amount correct. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't know. I mean, you got 5 points last week, so maybe we do know a little bit. And I didn't even have a bad week. I got 2 points last week too. So we're good at this whole prediction things. If you want to know what's going to go down, you come and listen to the Podium Pushers podcast. But that is all we've got for our predictions for the Canadian Grand Prix. Before we get out of here, Brandon, what are your parting podium thoughts?
Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Justin and I are both very grateful for anyone who takes the time to let us talk to you guys about Formula One. It's a joy for us to get to do this together and also with you guys as well. So just thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Happy that you're here.
Yeah, Brandon just stole everything I usually say as my parting podium thoughts. So I'll say that I'm excited for Canada. I can't wait to see what happens on track. It's a great track. I love driving it in the F1 game. That feels like something Brandon would say. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Before you go, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. We'll see you next week to react to the Canadian Grand Prix. But until then, have a great day and God bless.
See ya.